The New York State Office of Addiction Services and Support, or OASAS, provides this podcast as a public service. Thoughts and opinions expressed do not necessarily represent or reflect those of the agency or state. This is Addiction, the Next Step.
Jerry Gretzinger here, your host for Addiction, the Next Step, and you know it comes to you from the New York State Offices of Addiction Services and Supports. Today, we've got a really cool topic to talk about, a really cool program, and I say this because it not only speaks to the mental health of an individual and their work through substance use, obviously, but also it really works towards their physical health, their physical well-being, and it brings everything together in a really great combination of efforts to address the whole wellness of a person, right? And so I want to introduce you to Jonathan Westfall. He's joining us today from ROCovery Fitness. And ROCovery, we're out of Rochester, right there, John?
Yeah, that's correct, Jerry. Yep, Rochester, New York. Beautiful, sunny Rochester, New York today, actually. Yeah.
We get very fortunate some days, don't we, with the blue skies?
Okay. Yeah, we sure have.
All right, so I kind of stumbled through doing my little explanation as to what ROCovery is all about, but one of the things I like about it is that it incorporates physical fitness in this. So why don't you tell our listeners how this all works?
Well, yeah, that was really, actually, I was going to compliment you. That was a great encapsulation of what we're all about, right? So our tagline is, our hashtag is sober living through fitness. And so, sort of the reason for being, our reason for being is the old cliche, the old mantra, move a muscle, mend a mood, move a muscle, change a thought. Just getting up, getting our bodies moving and getting it moving in a healthy direction tends to have a holistic and halo effect on the rest of our lives, right? So we start taking care of ourselves physically, we start taking care of ourselves in other ways, just by way of habit. So it's just one of those things that, we found has been, and obviously science and research backs this, is that, it's a great holistic way to rewire our brains, rewire our thought process, rewire our reward centers in our brains, and really just address a lot of the things that cause us to use to begin with, right? So folks often talk about the co-occurring disorders of mental health and substance use. And we could argue all day long about what comes first, right? But the fact is that they often accompany one another. And so once we stop using the substances, the mental health challenges are still there. So it's a great way to address those as well, getting out, getting moving, and doing it in a community with other people who are doing the same thing is the secret sauce, I like to call it, sort of the secret ingredient. People love to work out, right? But once they start working out with other people who are also doing healthy, making healthy choices and doing what they want to do, it's kind of sneaky that way. We sneak up and we build community. So
I would say that use of community is a really strong motivator for sure. We talked about the special sauce, as you say. So is ROCovery Fitness, is it a gym where this all happens, or is it a collection of activities? Talk us through that part.
So, yeah, I guess, I'll back up to what our mission statement is, and we strive to foster a sober, inclusive environment for healing and recovery, in whatever way that looks to our individuals that come in the door. That's what we want to be about. So it's not only fitness. Yes, we have a gym in our community center, but we also just have a community room where people can come in, have coffee, play chess. We have a chess club. We have art club. We have, mutual aid group support meetings in our center. Anything that will support somebody's recovery and what that looks like to them, we want to be able to provide that to our membership. And so, the answer to your question is yes, we do have a gym. And yes, a lot of things happen here at our center, but an awful lot of things happen out in the community as well. We have weekly hikes out in parks. We have weekly runs out in parks. We're, in New York, in particularly Western New York and the Finger Lakes area, we're blessed with so many great trail systems. And if you travel the country, you realize that there's little areas of our country that are really trail centric and really have great parks and all kinds of other things. And we just happen to live in one of those areas that we're so blessed with. You could walk out the door and be a 5-minute trip from, some of the best trails in the country. And so we really try and take advantage of that. So so yes, we have a lot of things that happen at the center, but also a lot of things that happen out in the community as well. So going out and meeting people where they are, literally, we like to be able to do that. So.
That's one of the messages we like to drive home, meeting people where they are. The other question I have for you too, if somebody's hearing this and they're in that area and they're thinking, well, this could be a great thing for me to get involved in. I could really benefit from this. So I want to address maybe some of the drawbacks they have. I mean, obviously when someone is, living with substance use and they want to change that, there is that for them to, kind of to get on top of and be able to manage. But then also somebody may sit back like anybody else and say, oh gosh, I'm not in the best shape of my life. I don't know if I can go to being physically active on top of everything else I'm trying to handle, right? So what do you say to somebody who calls up or speaks to you with those concerns?
Yeah, so that's probably one of the biggest arguments we get of why somebody can't come to a class or come to it. And it's so funny because, it's not just in the recovery community, but just in the general public, just, amongst the general public at large. Most people feel like they're not in shape enough to go to the gym, which if you think about it is kind of crazy. Like that's why you go to the gym, is to get in shape. Yeah. So we do our best to talk to folks about, everything is adaptable. Every workout that we offer, group fitness classes, hikes, for the most part. Now, when we go to the mountains, we have to be a little more aware of where people are at in their journey. For their safety and the safety of the group. But generally most of our classes and events are accessible to anyone with modifications. So if you struggle with back issues, we give people modifications to do for planks or for push-ups or for, we have folks in wheelchairs that come in and do group fitness classes. So like, what's your excuse, right?
Yeah.
So we kind of, lovingly use those kind of, arguments, for lack of a better term, with folks to allay their fears and to say, listen, if you're looking for someplace where it's safe to fail, quote unquote, this is it, because, nobody's going to judge you here. It's the safest place to try something new because everyone's so encouraging and supportive. And we always say that if it's not supportive, it doesn't belong here. Right. So if you do, struggle with something, you don't have to worry about, how you look to others. Everyone has been a beginner here at one point. So it's really probably one of the safest areas that you can go to try something new. Yeah. Or if you're unsure about the way things, feel, you can take a break, or you can ask the instructor for tips on how to modify things. So it's funny that you bring that up because that is probably our most common excuse that we hear about for not coming into the gym. And it's hard not to laugh at it because it's like, yes, we've all got that anxiety and you can look at folks, and we try to be conscious of that when we're posting stuff. We're very active on social media. I don't know if you're aware of that or not, but like, that's how we started as an organization, with a hike posted on Facebook in 2015. And so, social media has always been our biggest platform for spreading the word about ROCovery and letting, our community know about our classes and everything. So when we do post on there, we try to look accessible to folks, to not be that extreme sports. We have some folks that do some extreme sports, but we try not to glorify that too much because that can be intimidating for people too. And we don't want to do that.
Right.
We don't want to have that anxiety.
So it sounds like a great level of acceptance for anyone, no matter where they are in their journey, whether it be substance use or, getting their fitness taken care of, right? And addressing that.
Yeah. And so people come into the center here. We don't ask anybody to identify. We have folks who come in who are family members or allies to the recovery community, or just choose to live a sober lifestyle. So the only requirements for membership are 48 hours of continuous sobriety, and you fill out a quick membership form online that takes about 5 minutes, and it gets nothing more than just some basic demographics. It's a limitation of liability waiver signature, and then just kind of goes over our community standards, which just says, be a supportive, nice person, and you are in for life. And our gym costs nothing to folks in the community to just come in. If we do, so sometimes we'll do events that have a small rental fee, like a ski trip or a kayak event and things like that. And if people can, we negotiate that out with the companies that we partner with, so we get a better rate. Yep. And if folks can swing that, if they have employment or whatever, that's great. And if they don't, they can just send us an email and we can discreetly scholarship them. So we have, funds available to do that too. So, another big reason for our existence is we don't want costs to be a barrier for folks. So when people are in early recovery, employment is usually not a thing for a little while, or if it is, finances can be challenging when you're in early recovery. So we don't want that to be a barrier to connection, community, and, healthy living for folks. So we help we'll get over that really, really well here.
That's good. That's great. You said something there that struck me. You said membership is good for life. And I thought of your story, which I want to ask you about next. Talk about membership that's good for life. You kind of got in and stayed in and rode it all the way to the top of the organization as executive director, right? Do you mind telling us a little bit about how you got involved and how you got to here today? Yeah.
So it's a long story, and I'll try and condense it down and just hit the meaningful parts, because I can definitely, I'm passionate about it, and I can go on for hours about it. So I'll try and, so most of my life, from the time I was an adolescent to the time I was, in 2017, I turned 47 and got into recovery this last time. And, God willing, February of next year, I'll have 8 years of recovery under my belt. And so from that time, from the time I was, that young to 47, I was in and out of, sobriety through all the consequences of my alcohol and drug use throughout my entire life. And, I'm of the age where, back then all we had was 12-step. And if you didn't connect with that, you didn't have a lot of choices. You went to treatment and you were mandated to 12-step, and that's what you had to go to. And so, and I don't take anything away from 12-step. I still utilize it for my sobriety. It's great. But every single time, 6 to 9 months in, I would go back out again. And so as luck would have it, in 2017, when I got sober again, just not by any consequences, I just got, sick and tired of being sick and tired, as they say. And I met my predecessor, the executive director and one of the co-founders of ROCovery. 6 months into my sobriety journey, I became a CERPA-P. I took the Certified Recovery Peer Advocate training, and wanted to get, more involved in the field. I, recognized that I needed to make more of my life about recovery to really kind of attach to it. And I started volunteering with the organization, doing street outreach. I had always been into fitness, running in the gym and everything else, but I never connected it with my recovery. And even my entry into ROCovery wasn't through the gym. It was through doing street outreach over on North Clinton, which in Rochester is, unfortunately one of our hotbeds of open air drug activity here in Rochester at that time, and continues to be. But just doing street outreach, connecting with folks who are, living out on the street, and getting them connected with recovery resources. And so I did that for about a year until we got a grant for peer support program manager, which then, so I got hired because of my 100 hours a week of volunteering. They decided, hey, we want to pay you for at least 40 of those 100 hours and bring you into the fold. And it was my dream job. It was just, ultimately, it was amazing. I get paid to go camping. I get paid to take people on runs. I get paid to this is amazing. And so I was a peer support program manager and outreach coordinator for a while. And then we got hit with COVID, and coming out of COVID, our co-founder and executive director was just ready to move on to the next chapter of her life. She had done this, got this started, and was just really kind of, ready for what was next. And so the board tapped me to be the interim as we were kind of deciding what we were going to do. And then 6 months afterwards, elected me to be the permanent executive director. And so that was January of 21, and I haven't looked back. So it's been a pretty wild ride.
Yeah, that's definitely a journey. But I think too, we always hear that that peer element is so important. And I think for people who are hearing this today, who are out there thinking, hey, maybe this is for me, I think knowing that it's led by somebody who's walked the walk, or in your case has run the run, probably means so much more also, because you've been there, you've done that, and you can work with them in a much greater way than maybe others might be able to. John, I think this is great. I want to give people an opportunity to get in touch. Do you mind sharing some information, whether it's a website, where you are on social media, how they can find you?
Yeah. So as I mentioned, we're really active on all of our social media, our Facebook and our Instagram in particular. Just search ROCovery Fitness. We'll come right up. Our website is ROCoveryFitness.org. It's ROC because we're in Rochester. So ROCoveryFitness.org. And then ROCovery Fitness on Facebook and Instagram. And we're very responsive through all those channels. So if you send us a direct message, we'll get right back to you. There's an email through the website. You can send us a message through there. Our phone number is 585-484-0234. And our email address is mail@rockcoveryfitness.org.
Got it. All right. And I'm going to throw some more information to people. If you are looking for more information on addiction services or supports anywhere in the state of New York, you can go to oasas.ny.gov, oasas.ny.gov. And of course, our 24-hour Hope line, 877-8-HOPE-NY. John, thank you so much for sitting down, talking to us all about ROCovery. I hope it reaches a lot of people and that you get some calls and people wanting to get their pump on with you and then make some good strides forward.
Great. Thanks a lot.
All right. Thank you. And thanks for checking out this episode of Addiction, the Next Step. I'm Jerry Gretzinger. We will see you next time. And until then, be well.